Good afternoon. It is Friday, February 18th, and here's what we're looking at for today. So I had this overnight range drawn. You can see we broke down a little after 5 beneath it, but these were these were the lows and highs. And you can see we hit that measured move, and we bounced, and we came back, tested yesterday's closing price once, 2 times, and then we started going down again. So market geometry, a very real thing. These didn't really end up being too relevant. It looks like we hit this measured leg here and bounced. So there is relevance to this measured leg. But I think really it's the measured move of the overnight range. So not trying to waste any time. We did make this leg up in the overnight, but the bias, we were basically ranging with a downward bias for a while. So when you get this second entry, I mean, this signal bar is ridiculous. Very large. It's about 7-point bar, but that is a second entry and so bearish, clearly a trap. You might take that, and that just rockets down, and we do form this channel. I believe this to be valid. That midline works. And we break beneath the overnight lows right here before we bounce. You don't get a setup for a second entry. It looks like they trap people taking this as a second entry long, or I mean short, excuse me. Here, you might look at this as a failed second entry long, but you're going into an important level of support right there. I just wasn't too crazy about it, but it does look like it sets up, and when it bounces right here, that's right at the overnight low. So I don't think you want to take this second entry short, but that is clearly a trap. So if you take that failed second entry long, I don't blame you. But then it turns out, well, actually, we already knew we were in this downward channel. So we find resistance there again, but no setups. That's too congestive right there. And this is just the first entry. So that just fizzles out this channel, and we make a nice, strong correction. First entry, failed second entry short. That's aggressive. It's a bit away from the EMA. It looks like it's a close outside of this steep channel, but you know, if you're feeling aggressive, you might take that. We bounce off the midline of the overnight highs and lows, and this looks like a double top, so you might think we're going to test the highs of the overnight, and you might consider going long here on the second entry. It just doesn't set up well. And we get this break and 2 legs of correction, maybe even 3. And move to a new high, and then it reverses. And this is just a lower high. This looks really good, but it's just a first entry, so I don't think we can take it. Actually, technically, it's a third entry short. First, second, third entry short. So you might consider that, but look, this looks congestive. I'd be worried. However, it kind of looks like it's also like a break back into this price level, this range. But anyway, we break down here and we form this yellow channel, so it kind of looks like a spike and channel down. And you get a first entry, second entry here. I think I was looking at this as a first failed second entry long. This closes above the EMA, but it just looked. You can see that the selling's coming in, and it also looks like a second entry short. And if you didn't take that, I think you got to take this lower high. That really looks like a second entry to me, and just confirms that channel, and it's a trap. And if you don't take that, you can take this one. This is a new high, so you get a first entry, failed second entry. It's just that you're going into these lows now, and it's getting a little dicey. Those were all, I was shorting the heck out of it. I can tell you that right now. It just, the way it looked, the way it was developing, it just very strong downward bias at that point. Here, I kind of looked at this as a double bottom. First entry, second entry with a lower high. But it's technically first, second, third, fourth entry. So I think you'd really have to be looking at that as a lower high. But yeah, it looked good. Oh, I think this is another reason why I liked it, was kind of looked like we're at the top of this range. And that's why I don't like this doji, even though it looks like a failure. It's in a range. Probably would have got you a scalp anyway, but here you got a second entry long and set up for maybe a failed second entry long, but it just doesn't trigger. But I do like that, to be honest. If it triggered, it probably would have trapped me there. But actually, you know what? Now that I'm looking at it, it kind of looks like you'd be going into the bottom of a channel, and that's what happened. You can see. So that's what happened there. Come, we get this lower high. That's a very bearish lower high, and that confirms this channel. So I do kind of like that entry. And then here we get a first entry, second entry. And if you're playing that, I mean, if you're seeing all this, that's a red trade for sure. Because you get a break of this channel up and a move to a new high, and it's off the trend channel, and that's a bearish bar. But honestly, I mean, I don't think I would be seeing that in real time. But more advanced readers, chart readers, would be. We make a new high right here. First entry, second entry, failed second entry long. It's also second entry short, so I do like that. And it's off the EMA. And then we're confirming the channel line here. This is just the first entry, so you can't take that. And this looks like a second entry, but it just doesn't set up well. This is congested, very congested, but it's also a lower high off the trend channel. That's why I like it, but I also dislike it because we're going into the lows of that channel. And right here, you can see this tiny micro channel, and you get this nice lower high, but I just don't think you can go short there, unfortunately. It's just the first entry. So here we bounce, and you do get a first failed second entry short right here, but I wouldn't be looking to go long just yet. But then when we come up here and you get a first entry, and it doesn't make a new low, unfortunately, but this is definitely a second entry long, and you can see this is a first entry, second entry, so it's like a higher low, even though we didn't make a new low. And then we come up here, and we rocketed all the way up to that overnight lows. So since that trend up was so strong, I wasn't looking to go short just yet, but you do get a failure right here. I just think that setup isn't good looking enough for me to take it or mark it even. First entry, failed second entry short. We are waiting to make a new high, so I like that setup. And then we start reversing after making that new high and testing the opening price. And first entry, failed second entry long. I think that's a great setup. Look at all that price rejection. I really like that. We form this range, and you get a first entry, second entry off that trend channel, and that's a big move right there. And that's what I saw. So I took one trade, and I think if I remember correctly, I didn't. It was a bad trade. Yeah, it was a terrible trade, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I went short. That's a first entry. I think I just went short here, looking at it as like a failure. But that's more like a double top. You can see first entry, failed second entry. I put it one tick beneath this bar, and look, that's an inside bar. And Mac always tells us not to do that. So I think I was just eager, and that's what I learned from my trade today. So I hope everyone had a blessed day. I'll be back tomorrow.